Welcome, Cancer. Welcome to the realm of astrology. This is your monthly horoscope for the month of June. But before we begin, I want to let you know that I do daily videos, weekly videos, monthly videos, all horoscopes, and you can watch them on my channel on YouTube, or you can watch them on my website, which is www.realmofastrology.com. And also, Cancer, do hit the subscribe button. All right. So, what's happening for you this month? A lot is happening. But before we get into the month of June, I want to mention that we are in between eclipses. There was an eclipse on May 26th, and there will be an eclipse on June 10th. So, as we enter the month of June, Cancer, we are in between eclipses. And why is this important? Why is this relevant? It's important because the period between eclipses is a karmic time, it's a destined time. It is a time where you may be receiving some pieces of information, where events may take place, and just know that eclipses stay with us for a long, long time, at least 6 months, but even longer. So you might experience sudden changes, you might experience sudden insights, and this is the time that it's going to happen. So that's important to know. Now, the first thing for you, Cancer, happens May 31st into June 1st. And what is happening? The Sun and the North Node are conjuncting. What does that mean? It means that the Sun right here and the North Node right here, they are meeting up. They've already met up by this time, but they meet up into May 31st, June 1st, depending where you're at. And what is this energy about? First, let's break it down. The North Node energizes any planet that comes in contact with it. In this case, it's energizing the Sun, your soul, Cancer, your consciousness, your identity. So during this transit, you may feel like, yeah, this is my identity. This is who I am. This is who I am becoming. You'll be very certain of that, and the focus will be you. And this conjunction is taking place in your 12th house, as you can see on the chart. And the 12th house is the house of the subconscious mind. It's the house of hidden things. It's the house of spirituality as well. So for you, Cancer, it could be a lot of illumination, a lot of light thrown onto your subconscious mind through to your spirituality. It's also the house of addictions, drugs, delusions. So maybe some illumination, some information may come about regarding those areas as well, if it is relevant to you, because the Sun and the North Node are conjuncting in your 12th house. And let me also tell you, one second, let me clean up the chart for you. Let me also tell you that the focus right now as you enter the month of June is your subconscious mind, is your spirituality, is your faith. It's also, like I said, I don't like to keep repeating it, the negative aspect of it. It's also drugs, delusion, lies, addictions. So that is what is being highlighted. And why is that? Because there are so many planets in your 12th house. They have been one by one, these planets will start moving ahead and enter your first and second houses, as we will discuss in the month of June. However, as we enter June, the focus is your subconscious mind and the other things that I mentioned. All right, now I'm going to change the chart to June 2nd. And on June 2nd, two important things are happening. The first is that Venus is changing signs. Venus has entered the sign of Cancer, your sign. And that means Venus will enter your first house. On this chart, it's not in your first house, but Venus on June 2nd will be in your first house, Cancer. And what does this mean? It means that whenever Venus enters a particular house, you become more receptive to matters of that house. It also brings with it gifts connected to that house. And for you, Cancer, it's your first house, which means it's about you. Because the first house is you, it's your identity, it's your consciousness, it's your identity, it's your appearance, it's your leadership skills, it's how you present yourself to the world, it's how the world sees you. And Venus coming in to that house on June 2nd will be a positive thing. It will give you gifts connected to you, your appearance, your identity, your soul, your consciousness. And it will also make you receptive to yourself. So that's what's happening on June 2nd, the first thing. And the second thing that's happening for you, Cancer, on June 2nd is that we have the last quarter phase of the moon. Now, what is the last quarter phase of the moon? Let me clear the chart first and then I'll talk about that. So the last quarter phase of the moon is when the moon and the sun make their 90-degree angle before they meet up and have a new moon, which will be on June 10th. We'll talk about that. But basically, this means that at this point, we are releasing things. We are letting go. And what are we releasing? What are we letting go? Especially you, Cancer, what are you releasing? What are you letting go? This now ties back on to the new moon that happened on May 11th. On May 11th, we had a new moon, and with the new moon, there's always a new beginning. And for the collective, generally, that new beginning was connected to our self-worth, values, skills, and finances. And for you, that was connected to your 11th house, which is about your hopes, goals, dreams, and the groups you're part of and the social circle. So there was a new beginning in that area for you specifically, Cancer. And now at the last quarter phase of the moon, you're assessing what you can take with you to the next month connected with that new beginning that happened in your 11th house of your social circle, of your hopes, goals, and dreams. And this entire week, till June 10th, till the new moon solar eclipse in Gemini, you will be focused on letting go of things that don't need to come with you to the next month. So these are the two things that are happening. Now, the next important thing happens on June 10th. So let's talk about that. Now, this is a new moon solar eclipse. First of all, what is a new moon and what is a solar eclipse? A new moon is when the sun and the moon are together. The moon is moved on this chart, but it's going to happen at 19 degrees of Gemini. The sun and moon will be here. They will be meeting up, and every month they meet up once, and that is our new lunar cycle. A new moon brings with it new beginnings. It's the time when we seed things for the entire month, what our goals will be, what we will be doing for the whole month. And what is an eclipse? When a new moon happens next to the nodes, it becomes an eclipse. All right, so it's happening next to the lunar nodes, and the nodes are karmic. Like I said, eclipses bring with them karmic events. They bring with them destined events. They speed up events. They bring pieces of information. And this new moon solar eclipse, since new moon is a new beginning, is all about new beginnings. We are beginning something new that is karmic, that is destined, that is meant to happen for us. And for you, Cancer, it's happening in your 12th house. The 12th house, like I said, is the subconscious mind. It is your spirituality. It is also drugs, delusions, lies, and addictions. So there's a new beginning for you in this area. And this new beginning, right now, we are sowing the seeds. We will see it culminate 6 months from now. We will see it culminate with the full moon. Things will become more clear then. And this is the beginning for you. And it's karmic. It's karmic. So that happens on June 10th. Okay, now I'm going to move the chart to June. Okay, sorry about that. Now, I'm going to talk about June 11th on this chart because I don't need to really change the chart for you guys to see that. So let's see what's happening on June 11th. So this is June 11th, not June 10th that we're speaking about now. On June 11th, two things happen. Mercury, first let's talk about Mars. Mars is here at 29 degrees of Cancer. On June 11th, it will move into the sign of Leo. And what is this about? When Mars changes signs, in this case, as you can see, it's in your first house right now. It's going to move from your first house to your second house. Wherever Mars is, we feel energized. It energizes that part of your life. So in the past 40 days, as Mars has transited your first house, Cancer, you have your identity, your soul, your consciousness, how you present yourself to the world, how the world sees you has been energized. It's been reinvigorated, so to speak. And now Mars is going to come into your second house and energize and reinvigorate your self-worth, values, skills, and finances. And for the next 40 days, it is going to continue to reinvigorate that area of your life. And another thing happens on June 11th, the Sun and Mercury meet up. And when the Sun and Mercury meet up, we can receive a message of sorts. We can receive some information. We can have an important realization. And it's meeting up while it's retrograding, meaning Mercury is moving backwards, the Sun is moving forwards, and they're meeting here. Now, very well, this realization, this piece of information could be connected to the past, and it's connected to your subconscious mind, your faith, your spirituality, drugs, delusions, lies, deception, and addictions, because it's happening in your 12th house. And I know there's a lot of focus on one area of your life, but that's simply because the planets right now are so concentrated. If you see, most of the fast moving planets are in Gemini, which means the focus is very concentrated right now. And for you, that's your 12th house. For you, that's your spirituality, subconscious mind, addictions. So that's happening on June 11th. Now I'm going to move up the chart to June 14th. Now on June 14th, we have an extremely important event taking place. It's the Saturn Uranus Square. Saturn's here in your chart and Uranus is here. These two planets are making a 90-degree angle. And this is a very rare transit. It happened 21 years ago in the year 2000. So we are feeling this energy after very long. And yes, these planets square exactly on June 14th. However, this energy will stay with us for the whole of 2021 and even into next year. So it's the most important event of 2021. And let me break it down for you what it means for you. So typically when these planets square, we are required to get rid of old thought patterns, old structures, old ways of living, thinking, and being, and embracing the new. It's also about finding out who we truly are on the inside, our authentic selves, and going towards that. So that's the general energy. Now for you, Cancer, it's before I get into what it means for you, Cancer, it's also a tug of war between the old and the new. Because Saturn is the old, it's the traditional, it's the structures, it's the rules. And Uranus is the new, it's the rebel. It wants you to be your authentic self, not who you think you should be. So there's a tug of war going on between the old and the new. And for you, Cancer, it's happening in your 8th and 11th house. Now let me break it down for you. 8th house, as Saturn transits your 8th house, Saturn takes 2.5 to 3 years to transit a particular house. Since December of 2020, it has been transiting your 8th house. And wherever Saturn is transiting, we are asked to work hard. We are asked to be disciplined. We are asked to take hard decisions. So it's not an easy transit, and that area of your life feels difficult. However, the goal of Saturn is to put that area of your life as it should be, and the process never feels easy. In fact, it feels rather difficult, but when you look back once the transit is over, you'll say, yeah, that was difficult, but it was necessary. That's what Saturn does, and it'll be in your 8th house till 2023. I like to give a background because Saturn is the area in your chart which feels very difficult. So for you, what is that area, Cancer? It's your 8th house. 8th house is personal karma. So you can be facing a lot of karmic things as Saturn is transiting your 8th house. It could be good or bad, depending. I'm not saying anything. It just depends. The 8th house is also the house of intimacy. It's also the house of taboo things people don't like to talk about. It's also the house of transformation, rebirth, death. It's also the house of catharsis and healing and regeneration. So as Saturn transits this house, you will be working very hard towards intimacy, towards personal karmic things, events, and also towards transforming. This is a transit that can completely transform you. It's also a transit that can heal you, that can regenerate you. So that's happening for you. And Uranus is transiting your 11th house, okay? Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus since 2019. And it stays for 7 years almost in a house. So there's still some time to go. It's transiting your 11th house. And Uranus is a very sudden energy. It's an unexpected energy. It can come out of nowhere. And what does Uranus want? Uranus wants you to be you, your authentic self, who you truly are, and it'll get rid of anything that's preventing you from coming into your own. And right now it's in your 11th house, which means Uranus is really changing up things connected to your social circle and hopes, goals, and dreams. And now let me come to the Saturn Uranus square that's happening for you in your 8th and 11th house, which means the tug of war that you will be facing this year into next year will somehow encapsulate matters of the 8th house: intimacy, taboo things, personal karma, and your social circle, hopes, goals, and dreams. This is the tug of war between the old and new. These areas will be highlighted, and these areas will push you into coming into your own. And forgive me for saying this, I don't like to bring negative news, and it's not negative, but I just want you to know that this can feel difficult, as it will feel for everybody on planet Earth. But this process will feel difficult because they're in a square, and it's never easy to let go of the old and embrace the new, because the new is unknown. So this process will not feel easy, but at the end of it, good things will happen, I guess. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is, okay, before I move on to the next day, this energy on this day is extremely intense. It's extremely, extremely intense. So just be mindful of that. Now, moving on to June 17th. On June 17th, we have the first quarter square of the moon. Okay, now what is the first quarter square? Again, the sun and the moon are making a 90-degree angle. Okay, this is the first time they make a 90-degree angle since they met up on June 10th. Remember the new moon solar eclipse that happened? And now the moon has moved on and it's making a square to the sun. This is a point where we face obstacles. Okay, obstacles connected to what, Cancer? For you, since the new moon solar eclipse happened in your 12th house and it impacted and brought to light matters associated with your subconscious mind, hidden things, addictions, this is the point 7 days later almost where you will start to face some obstacles, challenges that you will need to resolve and overcome, and you will need to make some adjustments so that that new beginning goes forth. And don't worry, these changes, these adjustments are day to day, they're small. So that happens on June 17th. Now I want to talk about Jupiter, okay, before we move on. Jupiter for you right now is in your 9th house, and Jupiter feels at home in its 9th house because it rules Sagittarius, which is the 9th house. Anyway, Jupiter came into the sign of Pisces on May 13th, okay? And that happened after 12 years. So it's hit this spot in your chart after 12 years. That's one. Two, Jupiter has been transiting your 8th house. Okay, now it's in your 9th house. And wherever Jupiter is, we receive gifts, we receive blessings. It also brings with it lessons. So it's not always smooth sailing. You will have to learn things, but the main theme of Jupiter is healing the wounds you've gone through. It's giving you gifts, it's giving you blessings. And now it's going to start giving you blessings in your 9th house, which is connected to publishing, your faith, your religion, your higher education, foreign travel, adventure, knowledge, wisdom. These are the areas of the 9th house, and Jupiter will come and bless those areas, give you gifts in those areas, heal any wounds that you might have in those areas. And why do I bring this up? Because on June 20th, Jupiter will go retrograde. Now let me clean up the chart a little bit because just looks messy. All right, that's enough. Coming back to it. Now Jupiter is going to go retrograde on June 20th. And what does this mean? When a planet goes retrograde, it appears to move backwards from the Earth's perspective, but it's not actually moving backwards. So, and what does this mean astrologically? It means the pressure eases off. When a planet goes backward, the pressure eases off. It's also a review period. It's also the time we reap the rewards for the work that we've put in. And it's also time the lessons that come with Jupiter ease off. We don't need to learn lessons. So for you, Cancer, it's in your ninth house, into your eighth house. So the matters where you will be receiving the rewards for the work that you've put in, where you will be reviewing and reprocessing things, and where the pressure will ease off towards learning new things, towards learning lessons, will be in your eighth and ninth house, which is personal karma, which is taboo things, which is intimacy. It's also healing, catharsis, regeneration, transformation, and your ninth house, which is the higher education, foreign travel, adventure, wisdom, knowledge, publishing. So these are the areas where you'll start to see the rewards come in. And the next thing again happens on June 20th. The chart is not open to June 20th, it's open to June 17th. But what happens on June 20th? The sun changes signs and comes into your sign. It comes into the sign of Cancer. It will come into your first house. And this is a big deal for you because it's coming into your sign. It's your season now, Cancer. But more importantly, wherever the sun is, that area of our life gets illuminated. Now it's going to be about you. You will be illuminated, your identity, your soul, your consciousness, your appearance, how the world sees you, how you present yourself to the world, your leadership, everything connected to you will come to light, will be illuminated for the next 30 days. That will be the focus for the next 30 days, starting on June 20th. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about happens on June 22nd. Now, Mercury will go direct. And Mercury retrograde is the time, it has been retrograding since May 29th. Whenever Mercury goes retrograde, we review things. Communication slows down, technology slows down. And for you, that's happened in your 12th house. You've reassessed, reviewed, things have come back from the past, connected to your subconscious mind, fears, hidden things, addictions, and now the forward movement, the direct movement, moving ahead in that area, moving away from the past and creating the future will start on June 22nd as Mercury will go direct. Mercury retrograde can also affect our mind. It can cause confusion, and now that confusion can lift if you're confused about anything. The next thing that I want to talk about happens on June 24th, and this is the other big event of the month. The first one was the eclipse that happened on June 10th. That will change things. That will change things majorly. It's a new beginning. And now we are having a full moon in Capricorn. What is a full moon? A full moon is when the sun and the moon are in opposition. The sun is here and the moon is here, and they will be opposing each other. It's going to happen at 3 degrees on the Capricorn-Cancer axis. The full moon is in Capricorn. Now, what do full moons bring? They bring completions, they bring culminations, they bring release points as well. It's the night where you can see clearly. And what are you seeing clearly? The new beginning that you had on June 10th, Cancer, which was in your 12th house of your subconscious mind, fears of hidden things and addictions and spirituality. And now you're seeing clearly what started for you back then. And another thing you're seeing clearly, Cancer, is what started 6 months ago in about Jan 13th and 14th. Why? Because that was the new moon in Capricorn. We seeded something then, and now you're able to see it more clearly. Yeah. And let me also mention something that goes into Jan of 2020. Jan of 2020, Saturn and Pluto met up, and they met up in your 7th house. And these planets, they meet up very rarely. 33 to 38 years it takes for them to meet up, and they met up in your 7th house, which means they changed the reality of your 7th house. What is the 7th house? You went through a major change in Jan of 2020 connected to your relationships with others, your marriage, your business partnerships, and your legal issues. That's what it changed majorly. And now I'm going to talk about June 25th. June 25th, Neptune is going retrograde. Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It rules the higher realm. However, Neptune is also a planet of deception, lies, delusions, depressions, addictions, and wherever it is transiting, it can cause confusion. And for you, Cancer, since 2011, yes, 2011, it has been transiting your 9th house, which means it has been causing some sort of confusion connected to your foreign travel, higher education, faith, belief, knowledge, wisdom. These are the areas where you may not be able to see things clearly, where there might be some confusion. It's not necessary. Take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't behind. But that's the area where things can feel foggy. And now it's going retrograde, which means that the confusion will ease off in that department of your life. And the last thing that I want to mention happens on June 27th. Venus is going to leave your first house and enter your second house. Now, for the past 20 days, it has been blessing. It has made you more receptive towards you, your identity, your consciousness, how you present yourself to the world and how the world sees you. And now it's going to make you more receptive and give you gifts in your self-worth, value, skills, and finances for the next 20 days. That, Cancer, wraps up the month of June for you. And now I'm going to pick a card for the month of June. And let's see what the universe has in store for you, Cancer. Okay. It says, come to the edge. Now, this card, I think, is telling you to come to the edge. It's telling you to take risks. If you've been too held back in something, it's telling you to move forward. Take that risk, take that chance, go for it. It's telling you to take a risk. It's telling you that. And it's telling you that it will be okay. That's what the message for the month of June is. If you've been holding back in some way, if you've been thinking about something and it not doing it, it's saying that come to the edge, take the risk, do it. Whatever it is for you. Yeah, because you will not fall. She's not going to fall, so you will not fall. In fact, she looks pretty graceful up there, don't you think? She's balanced on one leg, and it's also, she's leaving something behind. There are things floating at the back, and it's about leaving something behind, leaving the past behind and coming into the future, stepping into the future, doing what you want, taking that risk. That's the message for you, Cancer. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you like this and you think some of your Cancer friends will benefit from it, do hit the share button and send it to them. Do hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.